Driven by thirst, a stegosaurus and its baby have moved out onto the lake bed to drink. Their compact feet slip easily through the hardened upper crust, and they become mired in mud. They are now an easy target. Attracted by the sounds of the struggling pair, a single Ceratosaurus arrives on the scene. Its long toes and splayed foot design allow it to move across the upper crust without breaking through. Its target, the juvenile.
The juvenile is basically helpless. It normally relies on its mother to be able to protect it. But she's stuck up to her shoulders in mud, so she can't use her main weapon, which is her spiked tail. Like its mother, the little juvenile has spikes, but he can't move them because he's literally exhausted from trying to get out of the mud.
The Ceratosaurus moves in for the kill. He bites the juvenile in one of its most vulnerable areas, behind the rib cage, directly in front of her hind legs. The mother looks on helplessly as the Ceratosaurus tears open a large gash in the juvenile's flank. We now know that by the late Jurassic, Ceratosaurus was fast becoming extinct, desperate for easy prey. A trapped baby Stegosaurus is being eaten alive by the Ceratosaurus. The smell of fresh blood drifts downwind, perfectly in the path of a team of approaching Allosaurus.
These Allosaurus hunt in packs because it allows them to bring down much larger prey. They use their incredible sense of smell like a prehistoric homing device. Their keen sense of smell tells them that there's an adult and juvenile Stegosaurus about 100 yards ahead. But they also pick up the very distinct scent of a Ceratosaurus, and this is the hated enemy of Allosaurus.
One Allosaurus moves off to flank the unsuspecting Ceratosaurus. The remaining Allosaurus head towards the scene. The Ceratosaurus is outnumbered, and scientists now know it was also outsmarted.
It was sort of an earlier model meat eater. It doesn't have the more sophisticated brain that we see in some of its contemporaries like Allosaurus. So, although it was pretty strong, it didn't have the claws, it didn't have the brains, and it also didn't have the size of some of the other giant meat eaters of its environment.
It's a face-off, one that's about to see a colossal monster join the fight. A single Ceratosaurus faces off against two Allosaurus. The prize? A helpless Stegosaurus and her young. From the top of the food chain, Allosaurus goes into killing mode.
If he's up against somebody bigger, Allosaurus is going to be cautious. He's going to stand back. He's going to really size up the prey, and he's going to focus on his adversary's weak points. If he's fighting somebody smaller, the battle changes. Now he's interested in rushing in and beating the crud out of his opponent. I don't care about weighing your strengths and weaknesses, brother. I'm bigger than you. I'll rip your head off.
Having identified their adversary, the Allosaurus move down the hill towards their intended target.
Allosaurus are cooperative hunters, so as two of them move down to take on their adversary head-on, the third moves off in a different direction in an effort to outflank the Ceratosaurus. We see this sort of ambush maneuver in modern lions and sometimes wolves. If you can keep your opponent's attention focused in one direction, it allows for a surprise attack from the other.
One of them takes advantage of the Stegosaurus' vulnerable position and uses him as a platform. The Ceratosaurus begins to move away from the Stegosaurus. With the force of a runaway freight train, the third Allosaurus crushes the unsuspecting Ceratosaurus. We now know that some Stegosaurs could have as many as 8 spikes on their tail.
The massive weight on the female Stegosaurus causes her body to lean forward. This frees her tail. The moment she feels her tails become free, she swings it with every bit of remaining energy she has, and it lands a direct hit.
The location position of the bones tells the story. One Allosaurus is down. A few steps away, the body of the Ceratosaurus lays motionless. A Stegosaurus struggles to free herself from the jaws of this relentless muddy tomb. Next to her, the lifeless body of her offspring. 100 yards away, another dinosaur comes to the lake bed.
A family of Camarasaurus moves down to the lake bed. Leading them is a huge male. Its sheer size is enough to deter almost any attacker. The Allosaurus are now faced with a difficult choice. Do they continue their attack on the Stegosaurus, or do they dare take on something as huge as a Camarasaurus?
A herd of Camarasaurus approaches a drying lake. Their skeletal design prohibits them from lowering their heads to the ground. With their keen sense of smell, they pick up the scent of an unusually high number of predators.
Their sheer size and mass is usually enough to deter any predator from attacking. But the large number of predators assembled in this one area puts the Camarasaurus on high alert.
Despite the threat, quenching their thirst is a priority. The alpha male steps onto the mud-encrusted shore. As he positions himself to get a drink, he finds it difficult to maneuver.
This puts the dinosaur in a very precarious position if it happens to get attacked. Unfortunately for this sauropod, it's unaware of the mud trap that lies just beneath the cracked and dry upper crust.
The enormous weight of this Jurassic Titan cracks through the dried mud layer. Its elephant-like front feet become stuck. Each time it tries to pull its legs free, it ends up sinking even further. The stuck Camarasaurus begins to panic and bellows a distress call. The Allosaurus pick it up and run 100 yards away.
The Allosaurus make a very wise decision to abandon the Stegosaurus and go for the Camarasaurus. That Stegosaurus just freed her tail and killed her. They know now she can defend herself, so the sounds of the Camarasaurus makes it much more interesting of a target. So they move off and decide that's the thing they're going to attack, because if they can kill it, it'll keep them fed for 3 or 4 days.
At the sight of the Allosaurus, the Camarasaurus herd turns and retreats, leaving its leader to face the threat alone.
Camarasaurus are herding dinosaurs. Their #1 priority is to make sure that the babies make it into the next generation. When 2 Allosauruses showed up, their priority is to move away from the danger and take their babies. Unfortunately, that leaves their leader abandoned and stuck in the mud.
The Allosaurs approach carefully, circling to make sure that the Camarasaurus is firmly stuck in the mud. The anatomy of the Camarasaurus shows 2 weak spots, the flanks and the neck. A deep gouge or bite in those strategic areas, and the herbivore goes down.
Under normal conditions, there is no way these 2 Allosaurs would dare take on a bull Camarasaurus. But the fact that it's stuck in the mud has changed the whole battle plan. They'll attack him as long as they can reach one of his vulnerable areas.
During a drought in the late Jurassic, a receding lake has become a battlefield. 3 Allosaurus have killed a Ceratosaurus. A Stegosaurus, wielding his lethal tail spikes, has killed one of the unsuspecting Allosaurus. The fight shifts as the surviving Allosaurs focus their attention on a Camarasaurus stuck in the mud. Using their 2 key weapons, sharp teeth and vicious claws, they inflict serious wounds. If they can make the kill, the predators can feast for days. The Camarasaurus, despite being at a clear disadvantage, wages a strong self-defense. The Allosaurus stalk their prey, looking for a weak spot.
If one of the Allosauruses can get to the soft skin of the neck, they might be able to sever a major artery or cut off the air to the lungs. That will absolutely end this battle and bring down their behemoth prey.
The Allosaurus circle their prey. They use an anatomical adaptation to their advantage: splayed toes.
The Allosauruses don't get stuck in the mud like the Camarasaurus for two reasons. Number one, they don't weigh as much, but number two, they have a remarkable adaptation. It's the design of their foot. Like modern birds, their toes are splayed out in 3 different directions. This configuration gives them incredible traction when they're running at high speeds, but it also gives them stability. And the weight of the body is distributed between these 3 toes and not straight down, as in the foot of Camarasaurus. They work like snowshoes, keeping the body from breaking through the upper hard crust while allowing them unimpeded movement across the lake bed.
One of the Allosaurus attacks. The Camarasaurus is quick to respond.
Like a freight train, the impact crushes the ribs and splinters the arms of Allosaurus and drives its own humerus deep into its chest.
The momentum of the tail allows the Camarasaurus's front legs to become free. Using the power in its rear legs, it raises its body. The other Allosaurus darts in.
The Allosaurus can't stop. Its momentum literally drives it directly under the foot of the massive sauropod.
With its massive weight, the Camarasaurus crushes its last remaining rival. But its victory would be short-lived. With all of its energy spent and once again firmly stuck in the mud, the Camarasaurus is condemned to a slow, agonizing death.
The Allosaurus was so focused on the fact that Camarasaurus was stuck, it wasn't in top predator mode. That meant it got in too close. Never in its wildest imagination would it have thought that that Camarasaurus would shift its center of gravity, free those giant front feet, and crush that Allosaurus like it was a bug.
Camarasaurus may have triumphed over Allosaurus in this fight, but in the ultimate battle for survival, they and all the other dinosaurs at the lake would lose.